Ahoy and welcome to Riftbound Summoner Skirmish. Captain Dad here, bringing you our top 4 match. Game 1, we have Cow Pancakes versus Veermoors. Cow Pancakes, Trey, and Veermoors, Xander. A couple of good friends here, playing over here at Collect GG today. Thank you for joining, so excited to be here. Getting right into the action here, Cow Pancakes, we have Trey playing Fiora, plays Pit Rookie on his first turn. Passes it over to Xander. Xander playing a Lonely Poro and a stack deck to follow up his first turn. Back over to Trey here. Everything caught up here. Trey bringing out the Monastery of Hirana with his Fiora. Playing yellow Fiora in the champion zone. Xander brings out Zon Warrens. Battlefields from set 1, so hopefully you should be pretty familiar with these. If not, feel free to pause, look them up. Pit Rookie moves into Monastery of Hirana for Trey. Scores his first point. Fiora victorious, comes down to base. So playing both yellow Fioras here, different versions. Main deck plays the set 1 Fiora. Looks like Champion Zone playing set 2 Fiora. Interesting call here. Wonder if he just finds a good synergy between the two, I believe, or if he believes that they each bring different value. Passing it back over to Xander, getting things started here. Boots of Swiftness comes down. A quick attachment into the Lonely Poro will give him enough might to conquer back into Monastery. Tying the game up 1-1. Xander's going to go ahead and pass the turn back to Trey. So yeah, both these guys I've played with a couple of times. I've met them in both Summoner Skirmishes here now as well. Xander is a returning player from our top 8, so good to have you back, Xander. Thanks for joining us today. Trey, he's a new player here on the channel. Somebody who I would very highly recommend watching out for. He's a quiet guy, but he's super intelligent, makes great plays. Don't see him misplay too often. I did catch him with a Misfortune signature spell one time that made our game very interesting. But he usually has all of his lines in hand and fully aware of what he needs to do to make the best play. So compliments out to Trey. This should be a good game today. Akshan coming down for Trey here. He will steal the boots from Xander, attaching it to the Akshan, obviously with the trigger there. Fiora will become buffed with the Pit Rookie, the second Pit Rookie that comes down. He does trigger the Legend and then move up into the battlefield to score his second point, also killing that Lonely Poro. Passes it back over to Xander. Xander's going to take his turn here, take a couple of runes, and play a second Poro, and a Stellarcorn Herder backing up his Poro on this turn. So a couple of units, draw some definitely draw engine here. Sabotage coming out for coming out for Trey, revealing Xander's hand. We see Defiant Dance, the signature for Irelia, Defy, Discipline, and Guardian Angel, basic standard package as we have seen in most Irelias at this point. If we get Irelia down, it looks like he should be able to have some good interaction for Xander. Hopefully she comes out pretty quick. If not, it's going to get pretty tricky with all the might that Trey is starting to represent already. Challenge coming down, and that will basically have 2 units fight. It looks like he is targeting the Stellarcorn Herder here, so Stellarcorn Herder going down. Ganking on the Fiora will allow her to move over to the other battlefield into Zon Warrens. Quick trigger on that battlefield, scoring another point. Up to 4 points already for Trey. Alright, so an explosive start on this Fiora deck. Yeah, great job, Trey, great job. Taking a commanding presence here, using his interactions, his spells to complete perfection at this point, I'd say. Xander having a pretty disparaging time staring at just a Poro while Trey unloads his board here. Second, first mate comes down for Xander at the end of the turn there, readies his Fiora and moves it back to base, keeping everything protected. Poro moves up to Zon Warrens for the beginning of Xander's turn here. Scoots up to 2 points for Xander. Discarding a card, drawing another. And yeah, I got to spend a little bit of time with Xander when we went to the Atlanta RQ. A lot of fun. I believe you got to play this Irelia in the main event. Irelia does come down this turn. If his hand is still true to the last time we saw it with the Sabotage, he just doesn't have any other units at this point, so he, at this point, should probably be his only line of play is to play this GA and attach this Irelia. Yeah, very good, very good. Passing it back over to Trey now. 4-2, starting off this turn with only a lonely Poro over at the Zon Warrens battlefield. So far, I think Trey's got a pretty commanding lead on the battlefield right now. Multiple units representing plenty of might. Attacking into the Zon Warrens with the Fiora, we will get the first point of this turn, going up to 5. Quick little battlefield trigger interaction. Moves up the first mate into the Monastery of Fiora. And a little bit of awesome cheeky interaction with that, being able to spend a buff from any unit, so he spends the Fiora buff at the other battlefield in order to draw the trigger on the point when he moves into that Monastery of Fiora. Equipment comes down, reattaches to the Fiora, triggers the legend, gets his extra rune back channeled. 6-2 already at this point for Trey. And not looking very good for Xander at this point, unfortunately, losing a little bit of board tempo. Moving up the pit rookie to back up the Fiora for defense at the Zon Warren battlefield. I think it looks like Trey is deciding if he wants to play his champion unit. Maybe just hold up a little bit of interaction, save some runes. We'll see what he does here at the end of this turn. But yeah, for Xander, it's not looking very good for him unless he can find another unit or two or a way to draw some cards. You know, I almost wonder what Spirit Wheel would do for this deck, if it would be just clunky or feel like it might add something for an Irelia deck. You know, being able to draw a card every time you choose and target something. Late game, if you get to the point where you don't have units, you could just try to interact with your legend as much as you can if you still have at least your champion unit. And get at least a couple of draws, maybe. I'm not sure. Right now it's definitely feeling like Xander just doesn't have any answer to this board presence that Trey is able to produce. 5 units to 1. Discipline going to be starting off this turn for Xander to play on his Irelia. Essentially +3, since you get to add an additional 1 might for Irelia's champion unit choosing trigger. Xander, considering his options here, looks like we have 6-7 runes available, so we know that he's got a Defy in hand as well. We saw the Discipline used there. Looks like he's just going to trade in here with this and use up his Guardian Angel. I'm not sure if I like that, to be truthfully honest. I mean, oh yeah, I really don't like that. Okay, you just had an extra Guardian Angel there, Xander. I get your line of thought, being able to ready her and play some shenanigans with this, but I feel like playing both Guardian Angels down, keeping them safe, and beating that combat would be better for you in the long run here than giving up a GA for free, essentially. Yeah, not sure if I agree with that. Anyways, re-equips the GA on the second play here, moves Irelia into Zon Warrens after the first attack. Scores 3 points. and ride the wind coming. And you know, I don't like that either. You know, plenty of might on the Irelia to win anything at this point, but if that was your play all along, I feel like you would have gone into that first battlefield, played both your GAs, and chosen her over with a ride the wind later to win the combat might battle into the second battlefield as well. So I'm not a big fan of that play, Xander, but you are up 4 points. You are back in lead as far as control of the battlefields right now. Irelia, the only person on the monastery of Fiora battlefield. Passing it back over to Xander. Set coming into play here. Fun little interaction here now that he's got his Fiora champion down on base. He will buff himself, trigger himself to 5, and now become an eligible target for the yellow Fiora, therefore being able to be readied. Beautiful, beautiful. So he is an 8 might unit now, I believe, and accelerated. That's beautiful little tech there, Trey. I like that. Trey, considering his options, does he move in with 1 unit, a couple of units, a quick little equip since he has a unit? Yep, the equip coming in. We do know that the Defiant Dance is held in hand for Xander here. He's got the Defiant Dance and Defy. I'm pretty sure that we have not seen since Trey did his sabotage here a few turns back. Moving in 2 units here, yep, that's the consideration, whether you wanted to use in multiple units or not. Let's see here. Defiant Dance does come down for Irelia player here. Xander deciding that he will not have an answer for that, and Trey revealing a punch first. So going on to game 2 here. First game goes to Trey. GG, guys.
Captain Dad here. If you're into Riftbound, TCGs like Magic, One Piece, and other tabletops, come on down to Collect GG. Located at 3435 30th Avenue North, St. Petersburg, Florida, we have cases of singles, packs, anything you could possibly need for TCGs and tabletops. Paintings, miniatures, board games of all kinds. This is your Captain's LGS. If you get a chance, come on down. Tell them the Captain sent you.
And welcome back to game 2 between Cow Pancakes versus Veermore, Trey versus Xander. Getting things started off here, we got Irelia playing the Targon's Peak, who will go first this second game, versus the Fiora bringing out Sunken Temple. Sunken Temple, if you're mighty, when you attack in, you may pay 1 rune and draw a card. Veermore's Xander coming down with a Guardian Angel to play his first turn here and passes it over. Trey bringing out the Lucian, using his runes effectively here. Passing it back over to Xander. No turn 2 play. That feels rough. Oh. We did see an aggressive mulligan, so still not having a turn 2 play. That's pretty huge here. Moving in, first conquer point goes to Lucian, readies himself, Targon trigger, and Lucian back to base. Set comes down for the backup remaining unit there, using the remaining runes, playing a unit. He will be buffed when he comes into play, so he will be already mighty, triggers the legend, gets an extra rune channeled, and then passes it back to Xander. Yeah, that first game went by really quickly, so let's try not to have too much story time going on here, dilly-dallying in shallow waters, because these guys are ready to get sailing today. Yes, sir. Irelia coming down here for the next turn on Xander. Quick attachment, give her the quick GA, so that will keep her safe. I like that. It's always difficult to be in a situation where you have to play your Irelia and you don't have a way to protect her. Hopefully you have at least some sort of counter spell, if not some sort of Guardian Angel. And he does pass the turn back over here to Trey. Trey gets things awakened on his turn, starts things off 1-0 so far on the scoreboard. Trey up 1 game. So if he can clutch this one out, he will move on to the finals. So this is top 4. Moving up Set into the Sunken Temple. He will conquer for his first points. Triggers the battlefield in order to get a free draw. I like that. I like that. And moves up the Lucian into Targon's Peak. Quick little trigger on Targon's. Lucian readies, moves back. Nice little tickle from our infamous tickle monster on the channel here. Fiora Worthy comes in from the champion zone down to the base. And it looks like we are going to spend a buff here. Ready. Oh, okay, I see the interaction here. He's going to spend the buff, which will also make the set mighty, trigger the yellow Fiora that's now in play, readying the set and moving him back to base. Okay, nice clean interaction there. Making him mighty gives him the extra rune to play with from the legend ability and be able to spend with the champion ability. So nice, nice. Pit Rookie comes down, backs up, plays another buff on Set, and primes him for his next turn. I like it, I like it. Trey up 3 points to 0 so far. Xander starting off his turn, ready as his Irelia, and adds an immediate bonus to the might with the ready. Yeah, that last match was really rough. I feel like Xander, hopefully he can do a little bit better with this showing. Targon's Peak will be conquered with the Irelia here on this first part of the turn. We will move up point. He gets on the board for Xander, so much better already than he was doing last game, but already kind of disparaging looking at 4 units to 1. Looks like he does have a Ride the Wind though in hand, so he's got some late game answers. Taking 7 runes. Oh, I'm playing a Mind Splitter. That's huge. Okay, beautiful. Mind Splitter comes down to back up the Irelia at the Targon's Peak. Like we got a Doran's Blade, a Challenge. Any card that he wants to take now is fair game here. And it looks like a Cruel Matron, I believe. Is that the other unit that I saw in his hand there? And then a 4th card that I can't exactly quite tell. Death Knell, Death Grasp. Death Grasp, is that the one where you kill the unit and give its might? I think that's what it looks like. Not quite sure. Passes turn. And readies his 2 runes from the Targon's Peak trigger. There we go, trying to figure out what was going on there. And yeah, like I said, don't blink. The action is moving pretty quickly on this match. That first match definitely went pretty quickly. This second one seems to be going at a similar pace. Trey, I think, is pretty effective with this deck. A pretty good pilot, just knows his lines. Unfortunately for Xander, he's just been limited on his lines, so both players just making effective use of their time here. All of his units are ready at the base here, ready to go. It appears that Set is going to move up into the first Sunken Temple. With his mighty status, he will be able to draw a card off of the battlefield. First Mate comes down, readies the Set, moves him back to base to keep him protected. Feels like we're playing like a Lucian game plan here with this Fiora deck almost, like doing everything he can to avoid combat. We know that the Ride the Wind is a thing that Xander plays, so it's not a bad idea to try to avoid the combat or any unnecessary losses by being left at any battlefields without needing to defend the battlefield. 4 points to 1 already up here for Trey. Doing a little bit of math here. Trying to see if he's got a play or a line on this attack into Targon's at the moment. Appears that Trey is deciding. And with all units ready, minus the first mate that just came down here, of course. And 4 or 5 runes available. Plenty of interaction here. I think if he can do this, I mean, we're representing, a Defy or something, possibly a not so fast, Defiant Dance. You know, you can expect a couple of little spells, so, you know, a swing of 4 to 5 might, but if Trey has a punch first, I think that he could probably pretty clearly win this fight if he engages. Decides to bring down the Doran's Blade first, and then attach that into a Pit Rookie, therefore triggering Pit Rookie Mighty, readying Pit Rookie even though he was just played. I love this interaction. Trey, great line here as well. This is making me use my brain here, and I like it. Alright, set Pit Rookie, first mate, and what is it? The Lucian all coming in here. Xander taking his priority here to try to figure out what he can do. On guard will come down. We will get a +2 on Irelia. Only 1 from the on guard, but the choosing ability of Irelia will give her an additional 1, so +2 effectively. And Defiant Dance also coming down on Irelia. +3, an additional +3 for Irelia there, so that's +5. And the Defiant Dance will target the set, but instead we're actually going to Death Grip. Yeah, that was Death Grip in his hand. Death Grip is going to target his own set, making sure that he gets all of the might before the Defiant Dance trigger takes away the negative might. So passing it over to Lucian, I believe the declared target, Lucian will get +8, and he will trade in with everything, saving 1 unit. He gets to win this attack with 1 unit. Nice job, Trey, figuring out the math on that and knowing that you had a couple of options. I mean, Xander, again, not much you can do here. I feel like you're kind of limited. He has to pop the GA to keep the Irelia alive. She is thankfully alive. So Trey shouldn't be able to hit her at least this turn, with only 1 rune now available, passing the turn back over to Xander. 5 points to 1. Starting the turn, readying Irelia. She does pop up to 5 might with being readied. Had to burn a couple of runes here for each players on the last turn. Irelia moves into Targon's here at this point. And, just does not feel super great right now for Xander. Having to burn a couple of counters, keep up his Irelia. Hidden Blade comes down for Trey. It is countered, so Irelia will get the conquer, up to 2 points for Xander. This is much, much better, actually, I do feel like, for Xander at this point. Staring at 1 unit compared to 5, much more manageable. That Mind Splitter was a great tempo change for Xander to get some board presence and trade out a lot of those smaller units. Second GA comes down for Xander, attaches into Irelia. He had the option rather, that he could have tried to move her back if he wanted to do some legend interaction, but at this point, keeping her up on the base and holding for a couple of points, preventing Trey from any easy little conquers that he could do with his equipment and some small units. It's not a bad idea. I do like the defend. The ride the wind we know is an option for Xander in this deck. If he does manage to find a couple more interaction spells or a couple more target his own unit spells, he can move the Irelia back and then reconquer other battlefields if he gets the right combination of spells. We do have an additional, not an additional Doran's Blade. That's a BF sword comes down for Trey on the beginning of this turn. Attaches into the Fiora. Triggers the legend as she becomes mighty. Trey doing a little deck check on Xander here. Asks him if there's Ride the Wind in the discard pile. And there will be now. Xander moving his Irelia over into the other battlefield once the Fiora moves into the Sunken Temple. The showdown starts. That will get a +1 for a choose and a additional +1 might, so she gets +2 might, up to 7 might. And that will allow him to win this battlefield. Oh no, punch first comes down. Oh, that's huge. That is huge. Xander, do you have a counter?
So that'll put you at 11.
He does pay 1, recycle 1. Defiant Dance comes down for Xander. +2, +3 with the effective, again, champion unit that gets the additional +1 for choosing. That will be just barely enough to sway that. He gets the +3, -2 on that. And that will conquer a point during his opponent's turn for Xander. And oh, that's got to feel really good for Xander now that Trey plays out a third piece of equipment, no units. That feels much better. Starting off this turn, we're going to move up to 4 points for Xander. Good job, good job. He does move. He does not move her back. Okay, deciding he's going to pass, keeps Irelia on the base. I'm not sure how I feel about that now, honestly. There's nothing really represented by Trey at this point. You know that he can accelerate something really, really large with all the equipment if he wanted to do all that. But most importantly, we know that anything that he equips with a BF sword is probably going to get mightied and be able to be accelerated into the other battlefield. So unless you've got Ride the Wind, a second Ride the Wind, you have no way to defend Trey from just scoring a point and then trying to reinforce everything on a second battlefield for a second turn. So not sure. I don't know. I feel like I would have preferred to, you know, again, Trey's not at 6 points. So you have plenty of time, Xander. I don't know, man. You do have a GA on that Irelia, so she isn't like fully, you know, susceptible to being destroyed this turn. It would take 2 full kills, but just don't like having to throw in my GAs for free, honestly. Spectral Matron will get triggered mighty with the equipment, and then an additional equipment with the BF. So 1 Doran's Blade, 1 BF attached. Moves up into Targon's. We will score that 6th point. And I believe that Trey's going to pass this turn here. Yes, it does look like Xander's going to start the turn. 6 to 5. So we're a little bit closer here this game. Still starting to feel a little bit funny with all this equipment on this Spectral Matron. I mean, all the equipment in general is at this point. You know, Trey's only got 3 runes, so it's really costly to equip anything. But being able to equip a unit and then attack in, sacrifice or trade that unit, and then re-equip that equipment to a second unit is just so good of a play for some of these equipment decks. So Irelia, move back. Now we will see a little bit of interaction here. We do have this weird point where, okay, I get what he's doing here because she moves back and he does get a ready interaction. Factory recall, a little bit of sideboard tech. Okay, I like this. The BF sword gets stuck back in hand. Irelia comes down. Being chosen a couple of times and having that on guard there will allow her to conquer this Targon's Peak pretty handedly. Might shouldn't be an issue here. Spectral Matron does go down. Xander, suddenly, all of a sudden, we have a tie game, 6 to 6. I like it. Okay. Double conquer for Xander here. Leaves open all of his runes with the Targon's trigger as he passes. And up to Trey at this point to get things back under control. Lucian Merciless comes down. Weapon Master will get a free equip off of the Doran's Blade, one of the Doran's Blade. We will burn an extra rune from the yellow Fiora, and we will also trigger the legend, so you equal trade here, gain a rune, burn a rune. Readies the Lucian, allows him to conquer into Sunken Temple. We will draw a card for Sunken Temple because Lucian is big. No tickling this point in game as he's at 7 points. Fiora moves into this battlefield, is equipped with the second Doran's Blade, and it's all up to Xander now to see what he can do on this turn. Epic game, close one, coming down to the wire. I like it. Come on, Xander, can you pull off some magic? Let's see what you can do, buddy. Ready's Irelia for a quick, easy might bonus there. Does he have a target spell? Does he have an equipment? Does he have anything? Nothing. Oh, GG, guys. Great job, Trey. Such a good game. Just a turn or two late. Yeah, 2 turns away. 2 turns away. Close one, Xander.
No. Ah, too much.
That would have done it actually. Oh wait, no, because you can't target. You can't ready yourself. Yeah. GG. Yeah. Close one.
Wow, so that last game was so close. Good job again to both the players here. Congratulations to Trey moving on into the championship. We got that game coming up here in just a couple of days. Hopefully I can get that posted. Life's been hectic. No excuses, but got to spend some time with my family here on Mother's Day, and that was a blessing. So hopefully you guys are having a great day today. If you made it this far, again, thanks for hanging out with us. We got more content coming up, and hopefully some vlogs from Atlanta coming out in the next couple of weeks. We'll see you then.